Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Cast Revive, your weekly Top 5 VGM podcast. I'm your host, Matt Heimerl, and here with the man who Kongol was modeled after, Steve Moncelsi.
What's up, everyone?
And tonight, we are doing The Legend of Dragoon, and we also have our first cosplayer ever joining us on the podcast, the man, Matt Fenoff, who runs Tiny Bronco Cosplay. Welcome, Matt.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And you actually requested this game on our Facebook page. And as you can tell, we actually follow through with our fan requests. So make sure you get those all on the page, especially if it has to do with Dragoon, because we are all about it.
And especially if you live close enough that you can come in and represent your own request.
Exactly. That's awesome. So thank you for being here. And
Of course.
So before we dive into why you chose Dragoon, you recently just got into like heavily cosplaying, and you went to MegaCon and stuff. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Tiny Bronco cosplay and where you want to head with it?
Sure, yeah. So I've probably been doing this, I wouldn't even say it professionally because I'm not there yet skill-wise, but last year I went to MegaCon all 3 days and decided I would start doing some purchase cosplays. Like I bought the pieces and I made some props here and there, but for the most part it was mostly purchased. This year we went, me, my girlfriend, and a couple good friends, we all kind of went together and created group cosplays, and we ended up doing, when you check out the page, if you check out the page, you'll notice what we did this year. We did, for Friday, we did Daredevil.
Nice.
Nice.
I was Matt Murdock, and my girlfriend was Karen Page. Saturday was our big day. It was all over the place as far as comfortability, but we worked really hard for solid weeks, a lot of sleepless nights putting together Hearthstone / World of Warcraft characters.
That was brilliant, by the way. I mean,
Thank you.
Everything looked fantastic.
A lot of that is attributed to Shannon, Meryl Gear Cosplay, if you want to find her on Facebook as well. She was a huge help in putting together not just all of ours, but she was, if you look at the pictures, the Thrall she did an amazing job. We also had, she was Valera, and my girlfriend Carrot cosplays, Kaerrot cosplays. She was Jaina. So we ended up finding a few other people. We found a couple Sylvanuses, and there were some Illidans there that we didn't actually get pictures with, but we found some Lieutenant Barros and other characters. So it was a good day. And then Sunday was our Until Dawn, very chill.
I saw that with your fingers.
Yeah,
That was so
awesome. Shannon ended up cutting off my fingers. Legitimately, I'm now sitting here with 3 fingers.
Hey man, you're dedicated.
It looks good. It looks good.
It looks great. Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually gone to get it fixed. So it's just really bloody and disgusting. But no, we didn't get noticed too often for that. But it's because you look kind of like generic zombie movie characters. But anyway, so that was our foray, my real first foray into not just purchased costumes, actually putting together the pieces and doing a lot of the work to make something come to life.
It's got to be more satisfying as well, being
Yeah.
that I constructed this with my bare hands and people are really taken to it.
Yeah, and it was really nice doing that, but also being a part of a group. Being an ensemble cast really helped bring all of those characters to life, and a lot of people were very thankful that we were there, got pictures taken with us, and so we're looking forward to doing next year. We're going to be doing things in between, I'm sure, but we're contemplating right now some Final Fantasy IX characters for possibly Matsuri. And next year's MegaCon, maybe doing some Heroes of the Storm bigger characters like Tyrael, or maybe Overwatch characters if we decide to go that far and do Soldier 76 or something like that.
Well, if you guys do go to Matsuri, I'll get some pictures with you. We're setting up a panel for Holiday Matsuri.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna try to be there. I'm gonna try to be male Freya, which continues with the theme. I mean, Tiny Bronco, obviously, for those who are familiar with Final Fantasy VII, is Cid's plane. Cid is a spear-wielding Dragoon. Mm-hmm. Freya, also a Dragoon, spear-wielding. The game we're doing today, there's kind of a theme here for me. I mean,
I love it. I love it. It all comes together.
It all comes together.
Circle of life. I will start singing Hakuna Matata.
That's okay. You do it.
Somebody has to start talking. I will break out into song here. We've already lost 10 listeners from the last time I started singing.
Oh.
So, but before we move on, like, do you want to like eventually get doing this hopefully like full time, like to be able to travel and do, or do you want this just to be strictly a hobby? Because I know it's a lot of time and money go into it, and a lot of people who would like to do it. but it's I mean, it's something to go professional. You really have to 100% dedicate yourself. to all of it, right?
and I don't know if I could ever. I would love to perfect the craft to the point where everything looks flawless, but I want to get to the point in the costuming where I don't necessarily have to do, like, I don't want to do what is popular just because it's attention seeking. You gain the popularity because you're on top of everyone because you're doing a character that everyone knows at the time. I just want to do what I want to do. So I don't want to get to that point, but I just, if it got to that point where you're getting sponsored and asked to go to Dragon Con or whatever, sure, why not?
I just thought when you said you want to do a character that's popular, I just thought about you dressing up as a male Tracer from Overwatch. That would be absolutely hilarious.
I'm actually, if anyone's interested, I'm thinking about doing that now.
Nice.
So,
contact Tiny Bronco Cosplay on Facebook.
If you want to see male Tracer.
If you want to see male Tracer and get some sponsorship going, throw it his way.
There you go.
So, speaking of, your Freya, Sid, Tiny Bronco, we are doing Legend of Dragoon, so it does actually all kind of fit together, and that was the opening theme to the game that we brought you in with, and a very cool intro video. It just throws you right into a whole city being entirely torched, and
as it should be.
Shayna being taken.
Great beginning.
Yeah, it is a great beginning. It is. I mean, it doesn't let you know, like, right out the gate, there's some crap going down. I mean, it's not like a, like Final Fantasy IX, she's in the water and you're playing music, seeing birds fly over. Okay, what's going on? You're like, nope, this city's being burned, so you better get ready.
The greatest beginnings come from the worst ends.
That was deep.
I'm gonna let y'all sit on that for a minute.
Whoa.
Go back to playing Contra on my handheld.
He kind of gave
All
up.
right, working on that now.
So before we move into your top 5, is there a reason that you picked Dragoon, other than, like, you really like the soundtrack? Obviously,
I was gonna say,
special place.
As far as PlayStation 1 role-playing games, I feel it's, I don't want to say underappreciated because everyone I know that's ever played it loved it. It's every person that's ever played that game loves it to death and rates it highly as one of their best RPGs for the PlayStation 1, possibly for the whole run. But it doesn't transcend itself. Like, there's always been rumors of a second one. It's such a great game. It was very memorable because of the combat style. I mean, it was a unique,
right.
The button timing. It was button timing before button timing, and it's actually hard to play it on a newer system because the lag.
Yeah.
But it's also nostalgic for me from heck, you and I were, we've been friends for a really long time, and this game has been one of those games that we've shared that bond with, and that says a lot to me. But I don't want to delve too far into why I picked it, because one of the song choices is kind of another reason why I picked it. So I'm going to leave
good.
More of explanation for that.
Well, we'll go ahead and jump into your number 5 pick. Talk about chaos right out the gate, starting with a boss battle. This is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go hard to start,
That's right. That's right. So this game, as you mentioned, like, you had these additions that you could use in the combat system, and in order to really maximize your damage and beat these bosses, you had to perfect these techniques. And to make matters worse, if you decided to not use attack, you wanted to use magic, you had to spam that X button to build up that charge for your spark net or whatever magic that you had. And it made this game very difficult. It really did.
And an added level of difficulty to it, too, was that when you're using your chain attacks, the enemies, the more stronger that they are, they have a better chance of countering.
Countering it.
So you have to hit that circle button at the right time to continue your chain going.
Yeah. Missing that when you're, like, doing like a Lavitz Gust of Wind dance or the Circle of 9 or whatever from Hash, you're just like, all right, I'm almost there. No, I missed it. You get shot back and you just freak out. Oh, my goodness. That was...
Moon trying to do Moonstrike, which has that weird quick time at the end. It's just like, no, oh, crap.
So... do you have a particular boss fight? I mean, there's a lot in this game.
To first to clarify, I mean, there are multiple boss musics to this game. This one particularly is first heard, I believe. So just to spoil a little bit, one of the big enemies in this game is the Virage, which are for Final Fantasy VII players is like the equivalent to Genova. Like you continuously battle them and they get bigger and stronger and more unique and weird. They're this big enemy, and they're so ethereal, like bigger than you, and not just in size but in stature, in presence. They feel monstrous, and the boss battles in this game lasted. Some of them lasted for like
time.
a half hour. I mean, the final battle alone was probably a good hour and a half.
It was a long,
solid fight.
It was like Final Fantasy VIII. There were multiple versions of the final boss. It just never ended. And it was like, all right, that's it. I'm putting Congo in because I need the hit points at this point. Yeah.
But honestly, I would probably say the first Virage fight in the volcano, when you come across its dead body and it wakes up, and you're like, oh, this boss has 3 parts to it. It has 2 arms and a body, and that's the first time it had multiple parts, and you had to choose which part to attack. And
right,
it was a mid boss too. The volcano had a whole nother boss at the end, and you use all your Dragoon powers before then, and you're like, holy crap.
The one thing that bothered me with this game, and it's not even really a negative, is that the limited inventory space you had. You really needed to choose. Okay, I don't just want to overload myself on healing. I need to get some magic spells in there too, but like I need these healing breezes. I need to maximize the amount of these.
Right.
But because there are some characters that are just more resistant to physical attacks, and everybody in this game has a physical attack unless you're in Dragoon form. So it was frustrating at times.
Yeah, and I mean, you had 20 spaces? I think 20 inventory spaces.
Yeah, something like that.
So just preparing, you could not prepare for everything.
And nobody used Shayna, so nobody had the healing. Nobody used the healing Dragoon. She was useless.
Yeah, those additions you're talking about, all she could do was shoot her bow.
Yep.
And then Miranda, the equivalent.
Yeah. They were saying that like she had one of the highest attack rates in the game. She could shoot multiple times in a round, and if you had like certain equipment that boosted her speed, so her SP would get higher, so you could have her in Dragoon form more. But I was like, no, I want the addition.
Well, that's nice. I'm still not using it.
I'm still not using it.
Give me Dart, Kongal, and Albert all day.
Yep, that's who I used. Yep, I used Rose up until the very end. Then I was like, okay, I'm not getting anywhere. Let's put in Kongal just because he has like 1,000 more hit points.
Yeah.
And I won because of that. I was like, yeah, Kongal, you have no additions, but you toughed it out. Oh man, good choice for number 5.
Thanks.
It's a good way to start it out. And I got a question for you, but I'm going to ask you after the next track.
Oh, okay.
Here's your number 4.
Got a little steel drum action in there.
Town musics in this game were freaking fantastic, man. It's just like you're in this town. It's like nothing can go wrong. It's such a happy tune. This was the royal capital.
This is Albert's town, the first real big city you come across.
Right. It's
You should have fought DJ here.
From Street Fighter.
Yeah.
because of the steel drum. I like it.
He
He just walks out across. He's like, "What the hell's going on here?"
They didn't want me in my game,
Yeah.
so I thought I'd come see yours.
You and Hashel fight it out. Whoever wins can join. Hashel would win.
Hashel would win.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely.
Hashel, Lightning.
I think
Dragoon.
BB Hood would
old man
destroy
martial
DJ.
arts.
Exactly. He was awesome. I loved him.
BB Hood would destroy DJ.
BB Hood.
BB Hood from Darkstalkers.
The
Little
Little
Red
Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
I never played Darkstalker, so.
You played Marvel's Capcom, though, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
she's
have.
She was in Marvel's Capcom.
Okay.
She had all the hunters and the everything. Like her ultimate was the hunters came out of the side of
With
the
the
screen
two
and shot guns.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
So it's like Little Red Riding Hood.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yes. Very good. I like that. Nice little, thingy there you did.
Again, tangents.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just like
It was my way of contributing to this conversation.
half my brain just unlocked itself and just floated out of the room there. Quick, get some information and come back. I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
What was that question that I had?
So, I mean, you mentioned who you had in your party. Do you have a favorite character in this game overall? Like to throw
My
loaded
favorite
questions at people.
character in this game Good, bad, like party member or overall character?
Let's start with party member.
Okay. Party member would probably have to be Albert.
Albert.
I mean, again, he was the spear wielder. I have a thing for spears. I don't know why. But his storyline, and I don't want to go too far. I don't want to spoil everything. The reason why he becomes the reason why he gets in the party.
Right.
That alone, you know.
It's like, we talked about this before. The game's been out for 16 years.
Do you
Is
spoil
there,
it?
is there,
Right. If we're spoiling anything for you, then it's too bad.
Well, if we're going to talk about that, we have to wait until later.
yeah. Well,
There's a reason in
Okay.
another later song that we can. But the way he joins the party, he's ultimately my favorite character. He's the king who does, he serves his people more than he serves his nation.
Yeah.
And he realizes like he gets the dragon soul, and he realizes that his best purpose is to save the planet. So he joins the party.
anytime a leader gets involved and is like, you know what, I'm going to go on the front lines, already gets an A+ in my book.
Anytime there's a celestial deity that comes down and says, you're the chosen one, and they go with that, then you got to give them props.
But really, it's hard to pick. Like all the characters in this game are great characters. I mean, Shayna, not so, but
My favorite is Meru. Meru has always
knew it.
because she's water. I have a
No,
strong
he has
thing
a
for
little
water.
thing for girls with big hammers. That's what, yeah.
She basically wore a bikini and used a giant
Yes.
hammer.
Yep, she was awesome. I liked her. Her attitude, her free spirit. She was always happy and chilling out and stuff like that. And she was a wingly. And I have a thing for winglies.
I mean, that's
not gonna lie.
I completely agree. I mean, she's kind of the same reason why I chose this song for my number 4, and that's the lightheartedness. Like she's not in the party at this point. This is well before her, but
Right.
The first half of this game feels so lighthearted, and that there's not much of this impending doom, and then it just flips a switch.
Yep.
So those lighthearted moments, they need to be held and cherished because they're too far and too few between after a certain point.
But do you think that's important to the story? And the reason I ask is this. A lot of these famous RPGs have those characters. So Dragoon has Meru, right? You have Yuffie in 7. You have, what's her name? I just had her name. In 10. Riku, thank you. And it's all these same kind of
Spunky
little girls kind of characters, though. But they're always like little girls. You never see like
Sophie from 8.
Selfie from
yeah,
me. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, so are they strictly put in, do you think, into the game strictly for that hope type of vibe and the not so doom and gloom all the time, or is it even necessary?
I mean, I definitely think there is an element to they bring an element of hope to the party that doesn't otherwise exist. I actually think the Riku comparison is the strongest of them, not just because they both are water type characters, but their actual lives outside of the party they have to hide who they are for the majority of the game. I mean, Riku has to hide that she's Albed because everyone hates Albed, and Meru has to hide that she's a Wingly because Winglies and Dragoons were enemies.
Yep.
So they have this completely almost, I don't want to say depressive because they're not that way, but this dark side to them, their personalities, and they overact the peppiness in order to compensate for that. So their powerfulness comes from their ability to hide themselves, but then when they do reveal themselves, everyone loves them. They appreciate their personalities and what they bring to the table. It can be dark, but they bring the happiness and the light. So I do think they're a little important. They're very important.
Yeah, I see them as the comic relief for it. They're tripping and laughing and making jokes, and it's just I think it's important to have that kind of character. You don't have all serious characters. You have someone trying to make wisecrack jokes in the middle of a war, and you're just like, all right, this person's trying to lighten up the mood, and she's water based, so.
She's water based.
How you doing?
See, I was always more of a Herschel type character. I like the
which is allowed.
I like the doesn't say much, but actions speak louder than words kind of characters, and that's usually who I go with all my RPGs. Like I always have, like in Tales of Xillia, there's a guy that's basically he's kind of like a butler almost. But he joins your quest, and he's actually a fencer. So he's got a rapier and stuff like that. And, but he's doesn't really say much of anything else. But he's got your back kind of thing. You're like, oh, thank God he does, because that guy would like wreck stuff. And you find out he's actually a pivotal character in everything that goes on. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So Matt, you like the peppy comic relief. Steve likes the quiet, silent types. I like the not sacrificial to the point of martyrdom, but like Sid in 7 sacrifices his dream to to save Shara, his wife, or I don't know if that's ever mentioned they're married, but and then Albert sacrifices his kingdom in order to go on with the party.
Right.
And Freya sacrifices her whole kingdom to travel. It's like they understand the greater good and they're willing to take that part of their lives out. They sacrifice some of their dreams in order to pursue it. So
it's nice when you have a nice mixture of those types of characters together. In storytelling, I think it's very important that you have these characters of all different backgrounds and personalities, but they're all linked through a common goal, so they can put all that stuff aside. I think this game does that very, very well because each of these characters are very, very different. Until you learn the story. I thought it all makes sense. I was telling Steve earlier that I was doing some reading on the story because I hadn't beaten this game since it came out. I've played it multiple times, but from beginning to end, I've only done it once. And so I made some notes here because it blew my mind because through the whole game, Dart is looking for the black monster, this person who killed his mother and destroyed his hometown of Deet and stuff like that. So you find out later that this is just gonna be complete spoilers, just so everybody knows. So if you don't want to hear what happens in this game, turn off the episode, subscribe to us, play the game, and then come back and listen to the episode. Yeah. Again. So it turns out to be Rose is the black black monster. So she was gifted this ability in exchange for immortality and so she doesn't die. The person she was with, her boyfriend or husband or whatever, was Zeeg. And they were together in the Wingley War. He gets turned to stone for 10,000 years. And then when he comes out of stone, he marries this woman named Clara, who happens to be Hashel's daughter. So they get married, and Dart is born. So it finds out Hashel is actually Dart's grandfather. So all this stuff is whoa, all these people are related and so close to 10,000 years. It blew my mind. So I just, and Zeeg, Zeeg is Dart.
He should have had a soft potion.
Should have had one. Well, whoever makes them needs
problem
to
solved.
Him and Nanaki's father.
But if he didn't,
the business in Final Fantasy and Legend of Dragoon, there needs to be a soft vendor in every
But if he had one, Dart never would have been born.
That's true.
True that.
But yeah, that's true. So anyway, I thought that was amazing. I forgot all of this stuff when I was reading it. And I was like, oh my god, I didn't remember any of that. And I just think that was so cool. So yeah.
The part where I always lose what happens is the Crystal Palace and Miranda coming into the party. That's where I kind of that's when it gets a little heady. But
no, I agree. But the coolest thing in this game is the name of the moon that never sets. I absolutely love that name for some reason. I was like, that is just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. So before I tangent on for another 20 minutes about this game, let's move on to your number.
It's not really a tangent if you're tangenting about the same game.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'll go in the Legos or something crazy about this game. So let's move on to number 3.
Lego Dragoon.
Then I'll keep going. There you go. Don't even get me started. I had to wait for that part to kick in before I softened it. It's a beautiful song.
It's an amazing score all the way around.
So what do we got here, boss man?
Oh, well, I mean, the only thing this is missing is that this is during the age of really bad voice acting, but it's missing. It's missing the prophecy guy who tells the story of what's going on. Because this is the track that's used a few times during the course of the game, usually when describing the events of the past, like what happened during the previous wars and all that.
Right.
But it's back when the Wingleys were, it had really bad voice acting, but
They got the same guy from Symphony of the Night to come in.
Or Resident Evil 1.
Thomas. Yes, Thomas.
But so this is some might hear this and think it's like a dark tone, but it's actually very hopeful. It's almost that conquering track. Like they always use it in moments of clarity and overcoming an adversity during those videos.
Right.
So it's actually very triumphant in a way, and I think that's kind of what belies it. Like it's got a very dark undertone, but then it's very light at the same time.
I think one thing this game did really well is, a lot of games when they're talking about stories, like you have to read a lot, but this game had a lot of cutscenes that explained a lot of the background of the game, and I thought that was cool because it gave some really cool visual effects, especially for when they're talking about the Wingley War and they were showing everything that was going on. And yeah, like you said, this is playing, so you have this you have this feeling comes over. He's like, oh my god, this is like so cool, and then this guy comes in. So during this time, it's like, oh man, come on.
Was I playing the game just now?
Yeah,
the word
surprise. It was
the
me.
word should just scroll like Star Wars, as you're listening to it.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I mean the art that accompanied these they were almost murals,
right?
Like if like a Skyrim wall or something along those lines. It was beautiful to watch, like the side scroll, and the upward, like the way they had done these scenes. They didn't do them in the style of the game. They felt like a separate from the entire game.
No, I agree. I thought it added a really nice element to it, and for all the RPGs that were out at the time, I felt it was just a lot of this game had a lot of really unique things added to it, and this was definitely one of them. I love the cutscenes in this game,
which is probably why it was 4 discs long.
Yeah.
I miss those days. give me
because you can fit like 30 of them on one DVD.
Give me Final Fantasy VII, the remake, is better be like 20 discs long. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, it's gonna
Blu-ray.
It's gonna be multiple parts. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah.
Boo.
So,
Boo.
I'm happy, but hey, it's gonna be awesome.
No, it's not.
You're out of control. I'm not. You're off the podcast forever.
See, you have one Smirnoff, and that's a crazy. Start talking craziness.
Oh man, that's out of control. I'm muting your mic for the rest of the podcast. Well, we're gonna do it. I want to do Final Fantasy VII so bad, but I am waiting until the remake comes out, and that's when we're gonna do our top 5 Final Fantasy VII. So we got some time. So
Which part? When it's all said and done, or the first one comes out?
When the first one comes out, I can't wait until it's all said and done. It's gonna be coming out for like 5 years. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's never going to end. I'm going to be
5
years old and it's
great.
still coming out with stuff. I need to play it until the day I die. It's going to be awesome. Don't ruin this for me. Come on, Congo. You're killing me.
They're going to remake it. By the time it's done being remade, you're going to be like, can we remake it again?
Yes.
Remake
I'm
it
like,
again.
yes. And I will buy every single version that comes out. And PSP 45,000 is coming out. I will buy it for that. Oh, goodness. I had a question that I was going to ask, and, of course... Oh, you have any interest in possibly cosplaying as like a Lavitz or an Albert? Because you've done Sid.
I've done Sid.
Which, may say, looks very nice.
Oh, I appreciate that. That was more of a Halloween costume than I mean, there's argument whether a Halloween costume is cosplay or not. It depends on what level I think you go to, and that was actually... apart from putting on a wig, that was pretty much as close as you could get.
Yeah.
No, not just tooting my own horn there, but... would I do a character from Legend of Dragoon? Most definitely. I kind of just want to wear the loincloth and be Congo the whole time.
That would be awesome. I would allow it.
Just be Maru.
I will be your underlord.
I'll be Maru.
You'll have me on...
Well, hi there.
I would want to see, and I know they did some drawings for the characters, but I'd want to see some better representations. I mean, the graphics back then weren't great; they were blocks, so there would have to be a lot of interpretation that goes into creating them. Would I do like normal form, or would I do Dragoon form? Because
either or.
That'd be normal. If Dragoon, you wouldn't be able to walk around anywhere.
I don't know. You'd be surprised. I mean, like I said, I want to do Tyrael, which is pretty much that times 4. So
yeah.
As long as when you do something that big, you get dropped off at the convention center and you stand and just let people take your picture. You don't move. Your intent is not to walk around the hall or do anything like that. It's not about comfort at that point. I would probably, if the skill level involves, if my skill continues to improve, I would want to do a Dragoon form, actually.
That would be really cool.
And if I was to pick one, I would do Haschel's because purple is my favorite color.
Because purple.
Purple's my
and
favorite
that's
color.
a perfect
So
legitimate reason.
You're gonna do an Albert Dragoon form. You'll bring me along. I will follow you around, and you just yell "Gust of Wind Dance," and I will literally throw leaves at people. I will literally throw leaves at people the whole time.
A little fan.
And
That would be awesome.
One pocket you have leaves, the other you have rose petals, and I would just say Rose Storm.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Rose petals.
I would seriously throw thorns at people. I just, come here, you.
But you have to have one of those little handheld little fans, the little 2 propeller thing.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. People, this is happening. I'm not
All right,
kidding.
we're gonna do this.
I will
and then-
literally be the leaf and rose petal guy.
But you're only going to do it so many times because you're only going to pick them up every once in a while.
Oh, I'm not picking them up at all. I'm going to have like 45 bags. It's going to be great.
I'm going to cut my lawn the day before.
I'm
Go out there.
gonna hire 10 people just to walk behind me and hand me new bags so I can throw it.
They're like,
This is gonna be epic.
they're gonna hate you so much. The convention, the cleanup crew. They're gonna like, why?
I'm gonna hire people to dress up like the goblins in Diablo 3. I called them money bag, so they're gonna be holding all my leaves. This is happening. This is brilliant. I love it. See, I love tangents.
Plans are coming together.
So yeah, is it again? Is it a tangent that we're talking about dressing up as these guys? I definitely would. It's not at all like in the forefront of my brain, but I would do somebody.
It'd be cool to see. I mean, you have so many out. Do you want to stick mainly to gaming?
No, I mean we've obviously done. Well,
You did Daredevil.
I've done Daredevil, which is a television show. Probably mostly gaming. I mean, that's what my biggest influence is. I mean, in my private time, I like writing, which a lot of that was influenced by game storylines. So,
Right.
you know, I think gaming is probably the facet that we like the most as a unit. So,
Nice.
probably that. But it also depends on what convention we're going to. I mean,
True.
if you're going to a heavily movie-based convention or something, if you go as World of Warcraft characters, unless you're going for the Warcraft premiere, you know, it's a different story. But you're not going to
Sure,
dress up
you wouldn't dress up as Punisher and walk in the Holiday Matsuri and people would be like, "Who is this guy?"
as someone might though.
That's true.
You know, we'll see. Maybe it'll be Punisher, but with like bows and like Hello Kitty Punisher or something like that.
Holiday Matsuri is a convention at the end of the year, at December time, that happens down in Orlando.
It's more anime,
More anime
based.
Yeah, very heavily anime based. A lot of furries are there.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so I know it's right up your alley, Steve.
Oh, boy.
So let's go ahead and move on to your number 4 because I'm really anxious to hear why
Number
you
2.
picked
Number
this.
2.
What did I say? 4?
4.
Yeah, I'm losing it. The Sephiroth of Dragoon.
I was just about to say, if there's a character that he's most like, I mean, he keep going back to that Final Fantasy VII well, but
yeah.
he does. I
It's
mean,
a deep well, man.
it's a deep well. You know, like I said, the last song had elements of hope to it. No, not this one.
No.
This one's dark. I do enjoy, one of the things that I like most about the soundtrack as a whole, I mean, these are only 5 songs, is it's very eclectic. This one, the Royal Capital that we listened to earlier had the steel drums, like almost Hawaiian theme to it. This sounds more tribal. This has a bit more of a percussion.
Right.
But it's very interesting, this soundtrack. It's very all over the place in a good way.
Yeah, because I mean, each character, I mean, different ethnicities and backgrounds. I
Absolutely.
mean, so it really incorporates different parts of the world in this. And you're right. I mean, it's really nice that it has all these different elements to it.
But this is Lloyd's theme. Lloyd is, as Matt put, is this game's Sephiroth. The reason why Albert becomes a party member is because a former one gets literally killed by this man.
Broke my heart.
That was Matt's. It's your favorite. Well, prior to Meru, next to Meru, Lavitz was your favorite character, I
He
believe.
got killed off because his name was Lavitz.
Hey,
Lavitz. It's like, it reminds me of John Lovitz, and I don't like that guy. So.
hey, he's the critic. Let's watch it.
That's the ticket. But yeah, I mean,
The Dragon Buster, right?
the Dragon Buster, yeah, and he's involved in more than just that. He's Albert's council member prior to that, and you realize he's just using him the whole time and gets to that point, and then the story opens up and he's so much more because he's a Wingly as well, if I'm remembering
I
correctly.
believe so. Yes.
And he just wants to see the world burn pretty much, but even it's so much bigger than him in the grand scheme of things. He's still just a pawn, but his actions he's so dark.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's silver-haired, wears black. He literally is Sephiroth.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was. And when that happened, I mean, and it happened so early in the game.
Yeah, it
Like,
does.
at least with Eris, you had
A good half game.
You had a good half game, but this literally happened.
don't level Eris.
Yeah. But, I mean, this literally happened before the end of Disc 1. And you're just like, are you serious?
Wait. I'm sorry. I had to put that in an argument here real quick.
Sure.
Oh, goodness.
I leveled Eris, and I loved leveling her because that Gospel hand that she has, where everybody comes back, everybody gets full life, everybody's full back,
Sure.
everything, was beautiful.
Sure.
And I enjoyed using the hell out of that thing. And I just used her and spammed and just farmed experience the best I could before her fate took over. But yeah, I enjoyed leveling her.
No, I mean, there's purpose.
That every time after that, maybe, but the first time, you're just like, I got my guys leveled up. She's so. I already have my final limit. This is amazing. And then like, are you serious? Are you kidding me? My healer, you're gonna take from me.
And
Sucks.
that's what made that so powerful. I mean,
Yeah,
in this.
yeah.
In Dragoon's case, Albert retains all of Lavitz's stuff, so
Right.
it's like it's just it's a reset. It's like
What
you won't
did you
be
do to
needing
his body?
these. Oh, don't worry, I'll take these.
Look what I got.
But it's just that's such a cool thing about. I mean, Lavitz was so loyal to Albert that he gave his life to save his king.
Spoilers.
And it was just that as soon as it started going slow motion, you just knew. I was like, are you kidding me? No, please, because you didn't know you were gonna acquire Albert. So you're just like, are you serious? Like. Lavitz was amazing, and you got all of the thing, but it wasn't Lavitz. Lavitz's personality and everything, like, you lost all of that. So
Then cue really bad voice acting.
Lavitz,
No.
that's it. It kind of took away from the moment a little bit when the voice acting kicked
Yeah.
in. Just play the music and don't talk.
Yeah, please just leave us alone.
Yeah. Oh man.
So, we were talking earlier about like their combos and getting their chain combos and how that was something new that this game brought to the table as far as gameplay is concerned. Who do you think had the hardest ultimate chain to
Lavitz
get through? Was it
Albert? It was the final one. I can't remember what it's not Gust of Wind Dance. It's the last one. It's maybe it's not, but I remember it being nigh impossible to do. And I always stuck with Gust of Wind Dance because it was easier to do.
Because it wasn't because if I remember correctly, it was like a target that came down. Once it hit right on the thing, you're supposed to hit the button at the right time.
Yep.
And that it was coming at the end so fast that it would just overlap each other, and you didn't know exactly when it was supposed to.
You had to memorize it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
hope they didn't counter.
It was a rhythm game. It
Yep.
became a rhythm game almost. And I mean, Dart's Moonstrike was pretty bad because of a quick little. But as soon as you got it, what was it? Kongol's Bone Crush.
Bone crush.
That one goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like really quick. So you just have to always have that speed. But
They should have made it like if you mess up in the game, like you mess that up, like all the other characters just turn and look at your guy like,
what the
dude,
heck, dude?
dude.
You just walk up and you swing once. It's like, really? You had opportunity to.
It's like you mess up, you fumble your weapons, you have to sit there for 5 turns and not move. It's like, come on, man.
Congo, you messed up. Just sit down. Shauna, come back
Congo
up
smash.
here. Come up here, Shauna. Yeah,
gonna
that's
say-
right. We're bringing her in.
Yeah, Shauna has the hardest
Think about what you did.
hardest edition. Just
She did.
Press X.
She did. And half the time she
Ta.
missed.
Oh yeah, she missed all the time. But yeah,
Editions. But the cool thing with it as well is like when you got a new edition, you didn't necessarily want to pick that one because
Right.
they had different SP to build up your special power. So you have one person that focuses just on damage. But like if you had Shayna in your party, well, okay, never mind. She doesn't have additions. So that's a really
Right.
that's a really poor example. But like Meru, she had either a buff or a small heal. That you could choose one that built up her magic power like a lot faster, but she did a lot less damage because you wanted her to get in Dragoon form more. So you had that those options, which is really cool. It added that additional unique way to play your character.
leveling up the editions too. Didn't they add more attacks to it? Like, or was it always full? I forget.
It was always full right out the bat. Just the more
SP
you
you
leveled
got.
up, you got more SP, and it did more damage at the end until it
right,
maxed out.
which allowed you to Dragoon form more
See,
frequently.
now I'm playing through right now. Every once in a while, when I get to it, Tales of Grace's F, and in the Tales series, one of the things that they added to that because it's very similar to this is you get to learn abilities. Okay, like so there's like Hawk Strike. Okay, and when you use it an X amount of times, and there's say a trophy for using it X amount of times.
Right.
But then you gain that in level, and you can actually master it. And then every time you go and you level it, it gets stronger, does more damage. There's nothing else to it, but it encourages people to, just because that's new and shiny, you don't necessarily want it because this thing, once you get up to level 5, is phenomenal.
Right.
But it's very easily missed because everyone likes the new shiny.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like that. It rewards you for sticking with,
Right.
your levels. Because as you use them, you get, when you win fights, you get experience for yourself and for your abilities. So as you might need 120 to learn the next section of that ability. Then you might need 400 for the next one, and then 600 for the next one, so on and so forth until you master it.
Right.
And I just think something like that would have been phenomenal to add to the next Dragoon game when they come out with it.
Then better.
Maybe one day.
Sony made it. Sony made it. And Sony's really good for listening to their fan base.
Well, it's been 16
amazing
years.
to me that they haven't.
They've talked about it.
They have.
It was something like $11 million it cost them or something like that to make the first one.
There's numerous online petitions to make a sequel or a
You
prequel.
could probably kickstart it.
I would love a prequel. To do a game during like the Wing
Oh, the
War,
Wing, yeah.
learn more of Zeeg and Rose's backstory. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, because there's not really any. The way the game ends, it's very final. So I mean, there's not really a point to continue the story.
It's so sad. You see the Rose and Zeeg's dragon sphere
The
together
sphere.
on the beach. It's like, man. And the music's playing. You just want to tear up and cry. It's great. But before we move on to the last track, for the addition system, you got them by completing them, right? Like you would get new ones, not just by leveling up your character. I think by actually completing successful attacks. I think
that's
how you
that
unlock
helped,
new ones.
But I definitely think leveling up, like I think leveling up was the majority of it. Because I remember you had double strike for the first however long, but as soon as you hit level like 4 or 5 or whatever, you got Volcano.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
because
I think it was
otherwise
just
you'd be able
level-based.
to just, hammer it out. And, your first time through the game would be a little difficult. But the second time through, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I can have all my additions in the first 15, 20 minutes.
You'd be level 1.
Well, no, because I mean, like some of them, in order to get it to max level, you do it like 150 times, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of battles.
Yeah.
Per person to level these things.
Sure.
That's why I wasn't sure if.
And to make sure you do it perfectly. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
think
have to do it
it was
perfectly, yeah.
just level, and then every time you completed one, it just mastered it a bit more.
Okay, interesting. I want to replay this game.
I know.
Like said,
I
when
was
got to it-
just saying the same thing.
Yeah, I'm going to
today.
have to because we've talked about it enough that maybe I
Yeah.
should just go ahead and
But-
dust that off.
I've been wanting to do this since we started the show, so I'm
Since
very
it's
excited.
PS1, we'll play on PS3.
Yeah, just
So I
beware.
could
Like
put it
I,
in.
but like I said, beware because PlayStation 3, unless you hard cord it into your system, there's a slight lag on the button presses.
As we found out, and it was so frustrating. I was like, I know I'm landing this attack. This is crap.
Yeah, literally.
Dart,
watching-
you suck.
All right, well, I can get my PS1 out of the closet.
Yeah,
And
I was
flip
questioning.
that
I was
back
watching
up.
Matt do it. I'm like, "Are you sure you played this game
Yeah,
before?"
are you really this bad? It's like, yes.
Give me that. Oh,
I
wow,
am this
okay.
bad, but this is still the game's fault. So we're already on your number one. So let's see
Dive
what
right
we-
into it.
Let's see what we got going on before I start crying.
Did you feel refreshed?
Travel music, man, love it.
This was right after Fort Helena, where you escape and save Shayna.
That place
So-
was a nightmare.
That place was that was honestly near enough my top 5, just the music to that place because you visited it twice. But to go back to our very first point about why I chose this game, this song, and so I'm choosing this not from an actual musical standpoint. It may not even be the best song in the game, but it holds more nostalgic value to me. Young me walking through the I don't know, it was a Target or something like that, and seeing the magazine section. They had official PlayStation magazine. And I remember buying issue 10 as my first issue and then doing a monthly subscription to it. The difference between official PlayStation Magazine and PlayStation Magazine was OPM came with demo discs. And I remember that was the reason why I did it, because you got to play like 10 different games and view
Yep.
videos for upcoming games. And they did a demo for this. And the demo was the moment right after Fort Helena. So this music, I played that demo maybe 13 times before the game came
Nice.
out, like 2 months later. But this music was very prevalent. Like, this is the most relaxing music, and you're like, what is going on in this game? But the combat was so unique.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose this as my number one. Again, maybe not even the best song musically, but it holds nostalgic value, and that's why I chose the.
And that's the whole point of the top 5. You know, people are gonna be like, "You've missed all these songs," like, but you might have a different top 5
Sure.
than me, and that's what makes it great.
Absolutely.
Is that this music touches people in different ways, and that's just it's the power.
Do you know
of
how
music,
this
baby.
song touches me?
I don't have
This sounds like
do
a great.
we-
This
do
is
we
a great.
wanna know?
No, it's a great song. It sounds very like David Bowie's going to come out and start singing like Labyrinth Feel.
Don't ruin
Is
it.
it the?
It does.
I'm
doesn't
trying
it?
to- I'm trying
See,
to-
Matt's like, yeah, okay, I got you.
I can hear. I can see that bit. But it's that.
that glass wall
Oh no.
Yeah.
Ruined. It's that peacefulness though.
Yeah. I was in Sears when I played this game the first time. I was walking through in high school, and this game was on one of those kiosks there, and I was playing. I was like, all right, I can dig this game. So I got it not too long after, spent the summer with my grandmother, and beat the whole thing in her basement.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Was it this music that got you into it? Was it the demo that you played, or did you actually play the actual game?
No, it was a demo that they had. I don't remember what part they had. It could have been the same as that one you
probably,
played, you know. I don't remember. But I just remember it was the first time I had salt and vinegar chips in the basement.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a cascade of memories
yeah,
here.
no, I do. I spent the whole summer. I didn't stop until I beat that game. Like it was a wonderful experience.
Now I'm going to ask this because I don't remember. Because again, yeah, just like Matt, I didn't play this. Last time I played this and finished it was when it came out. So 1999, 2000,
2000 is when it came out.
16 years ago. Were there any extras to this game? Like, in Final Fantasy VII, you could get an extra character, if you went out of your way and did separate things. Was there any kind of side? You had the Starlight
Stardust,
Stardust.
But there was nothing outside of that was extra, was there?
Not
No.
that I believe. No.
No, it was a pretty straightforward. I mean, there were side quests and stuff, but for the most part, yeah, it was a pretty straightforward game.
Yeah, there weren't any like hidden characters that you
Right,
could get.
yeah.
All the characters join your party through the main story and stuff like that. But yeah, other
There
than-
weren't hidden weapons or anything either. I mean, maybe the Stardust. I forget what the Stardust did for you at the end.
it's
I remember I
never actually collected. It was 100 Stardust, wasn't it?
Something
I think
like
that's
that,
what
yeah.
it was.
I missed one. My
That's the worst.
like I missed one.
You just wanna pull
if you
the
miss
game out
one,
and
you
snap.
might as well miss 40 because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
And it's
Right.
one of those ones where the game, something happens during the course of the game that changes the landscape of that area and removes it. Some of them you can go back and get it later in the
Right.
game. This one, no.
Yeah.
You miss it, you miss it.
That's the worst. Yeah, I want to know what you get. I think I read it was like an accessory, or you get.
Where's
get something.
Brian? Where's Brian? We need 99%
Yeah,
here.
Where's Mr. 99? He's hanging out with Thomas right now. So.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, I mean, but this game it has a special place for me just because of how I kind of got introduced. I mean, those demo discs back then, they introduced you to a lot of games, and then like it's almost a foreign concept to any younger listener these days. I mean, yes, they still have demos, like if you look at the PlayStation Network or whatever, but
Yep.
to be mailed a disc full of, what was it, Busby the I forget, right? Like games that you otherwise wouldn't play.
Right.
Yeah.
But you get the demo for it, and you're like, oh,
Jersey
wow.
Devil.
Jersey Devil, that's one. Yeah, I remember the Sly Cooper demo.
Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
That was a great one.
You think about it. I mean, whenever you traveled over, you say, "Can I go pick up a PC game or something?" Because it was always like $15 a magazine because it had that disc that came with it. And that's what was so expensive. But you were so excited to be like, "Oh, what demos are on this one? Dark Forces is on it. Yes, I want to play Dark Forces."
the allure to demos. I mean, you think about it too. What was it?
Okay. Can I interrupt you real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah.
Here you go. Stardust is a hidden collectible which appear useless until you meet Martel in Bale, where you can give her your current number of Stardust in exchange for rare and one-of-a-kind accessories. The final reward she gives you is the Vanishing Stone, which gives you access to the magician Faust, which is an additional super boss on Disc 3.
There you go. So it's just it's an additional fight.
Okay, so there is hidden side stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go back and do it now.
Damn it. Here we go.
Additional super boss. Uh-oh.
Yeah. But the allure to go back, the allure of demos was something, again, I don't think is a thing anymore because you can just download everything. But I bought, what was it, Brave Fencer Musashi for the PlayStation 1 because it came with
that game.
It came with Final Fantasy VIII's demo disc.
Yep.
I bought Zone of the Enders for the PlayStation 2 because it came with Metal Gear Solid 2's demo disc. Like you bought games because they came with demos.
Right.
And that concept seems so ridiculous now.
Agreed.
Good way to sell. Good way to sell content,
Yeah.
though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm buying this game not just because I want it, because I want to play the demo, but the game sucks.
Yeah.
No, Brave Fencer does not suck.
No.
Brave Fencer was phenomenal. They did a sequel to that, too.
It was
Yeah,
called,
the
it was
sequel
called
wasn't as
Wuss
good.
Fencer.
The sequel wasn't as good.
No.
But
But they did do a sequel.
did do that. Did that on the stream
Yep.
with you a couple
Yep.
years ago, 3
Yeah.
years ago.
Anyway, there's the phone. It's all right. There is. I actually remember those PlayStation Magazine discs. I used to actually have a CD catalog thing that had like 40 or 50 of those demo discs that went on for a while. They had a lot of stuff on there that was just crazy.
Yeah, I kept mine for a very long time, and I'm like, I'm not going. Like, I looked back, I was like, oh, these were on them, and then after a while, they stopped putting new content. They just started putting repeat content on their demo discs, and it was like, okay, well, now I can cancel my subscription to this magazine now. And then they start, all of them are kind of merged now.
Right.
So.
Well, that's a good number one, dude. I mean, that's a good way. It ends on a very peaceful, peaceful note. And like we say this all the time is, we get a lot of, people sometimes saying like, oh, how could you leave this track out or this track out? And it's just, these are our personal favorites.
Sure.
There's no wrong answer to these. Everybody has their own favorite, and we're just talking about our memories associated with them. So it's great because my list would be entirely different, but we both have the same joy and love for the game. So it's and I like that everybody has a different track. It's great to hear the reasons.
Where would Meru's theme be on your list?
Meru's theme would probably be in the middle.
Oh, I was going to say.
It would be, yeah.
Okay.
I wish man, if I had to construct a list, there's 50 tracks in this game, so they're so good. This is a hard game to pick a top 5 from.
Uniquely too, though, if anyone goes to look up this soundtrack, all of the outside of the opening, the intro song we used today, they all are like a minute and 10 seconds long. Yeah. They're really short.
They are short tracks.
Like all the boss battle music. For those who are listening intently to it, you could hear the end of the fight music, and the boss battle lasted a minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah,
it was there.
No, you're right. Yeah, because it ends and then moves, and like the credits and the loop,
but then
like,
it loops
music
back.
Started playing, and then it just loops back to the beginning. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, but the 50 songs to this soundtrack. And all the world themes were great. I mean, there was 3 different battle musics. The boss battle was in 4 parts, and there were 4 different tracks to that fight alone. It's just there were so many great songs to this.
Yeah.
So picking these 5 was really hard.
Can we talk about the end boss fight?
Sure.
Yeah, we got.
Didn't you fight God at the end of that game?
Essentially, it was like the Virage God.
Because
you go through
Melbu Frama.
You go through evolution pretty much with him.
Yeah. You have to. He had 4 forms, and then Dart transforms into the ultimate Dragoon at the end, which is a gray for some reason.
Yeah, the final guy was the commander of the Winglies or whatever, and then he got all this additional stones, like the Moonstone or something, and it made him this immortal super god, and that's who you battle at the end.
Because all I remember is a black screen, and you saw when it changed forms, you saw the water ripple and the fish jump, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's in space.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you see a pond appears around it, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool.
I'm tripping here.
Yeah. No, that final fight is trippy.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. You always think to again, Final Fantasy VII. You think any Final Fantasy final boss, they never really make sense. They're always superhuman, supernatural.
Right. Yeah.
In a weird way, and this one, it takes that cake and doubles it 5,000 times. It's
it does, because as soon as you beat them, you're like, all right, I beat it. It's like, wait, another form, a second one. All right, I finally made it through this guy. Are you serious? Another form? How long is this going to go on?
You had to pace I have the strategy guide to this game. This is the only game that I can think of that did this. The final boss, in some strategy guides, they say the final boss, we're not going to help you here. We're just enjoy the final part of the game, whatever. The final boss to this game has a turn-by-turn description of how best to do this fight. It tells you the party makeup, what level you should be, what additions you should be using, what items you should have. So turn 1, use this. Turn 2, do this. Turn 3, do this, and so on and so on.
Otherwise, you're screwed.
Yeah, if you take any of these out of order, reset.
Yeah, it's almost that difficult, because if you use your Dragoon forms too early, or you don't use them at the right time, you end up expending that juice. And you have to rebuild it, and during the rebuild time, you're in the hardest phase, and you get cracked for a lot more. It's just
because there are certain attacks that do more damage when you're in Dragoon form. So
right,
yeah. He wasn't a randomized boss. He was every turn is scripted. So, but it wasn't telegraphed. In some games, it's he's charging up for a big attack, and to defend. This was like randomly. Oh, crap! It wasn't random because it was scripted. So if you did the fight 13 times, you'd always know on turn 12 or whatever.
Unless you play like Matt and I, where it's like, oh wait, you're charging up for a big thing, just hit him harder.
Yep.
Let's go, keep hitting.
That triangle over his head is red. That means he's almost dead. I don't care. Everybody all out.
Oh yeah, that was one of those. This was one of the first games I forgot about that. The indicator.
Yeah, it was blue, yellow, then red.
And they did it for combat or out of combat too, like your encounter. You knew when you were about to get into a random fight because the triangle over Dart's head turned red, and then.
Funny thing is, I was watching. Surprise, people listening! I was watching a speed run of this.
No.
And when you're running, when it turns red, if you go to your menu and then click out of it like once or twice, it resets the encounter back to blue, so you keep running. So you can keep running.
That kind of cheats a little bit.
Yeah.
But
speed runs.
Speed run. That's a great tactic.
How did they defeat Frama without? I mean, I'm assuming they skipped a lot of fights. How did they win the game?
I don't remember all. It's like,
another cheat.
It's like it's like 8.5 hour speed. It's actually not a very quick run.
Sure, but I mean, I'm thinking from you skip fights, you lose a lot of the levels.
A lot of the fights take place with like the spark nets. I mean, you have to have your button mashing.
Oh,
to
yeah.
get 250%
turbo controllers.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Well, there's categories. There's turbo and non-turbo.
Really? Yeah, because turbo controllers were a thing back then.
Yep.
I remember some games too had the anti-turbo, like Metal Gear Solid 2, I believe, had an anti-turbo controller. It's like, we can tell you're doing this. Stop.
Oh, nice. That's crazy.
Well, 8 hours sounds like a long time for a speed run, but it's really not when you have a 60 to 80 hour game.
No, it is. Yeah, but this isn't like there are some RPGs like Final Fantasy 7. You can beat it in 3 hours with the Yuffie skip. So it's like there are ways to beat it quickly, but this game, no. Like you have to do everything.
To get through it, yeah.
The biggest way to cut down time is to skip random encounters. So
interesting.
So yeah, if you're interested, look up Legend of Dragoon speedrun. It's quite an enjoyable time.
Yeah, and if you don't want to speedrun, just play the game.
There you go.
It's a great game.
That's what we really want to go for here.
Yeah. Sorry we spoiled the whole thing for you, but play it. It's a good game.
But we really didn't, because the game is phenomenal.
Oh, it is. It's definitely worth playing. So.
And hearing what happens versus visualizing it's different.
Sure.
I'm trying to get Brian to do it, to write, because he writes for the Geek Street Station page. So I want him to take his Bean Teeth character into Dragoon and write about a food thing in Legend of Dragoon. That would be awesome. So,
that'd be funny,
fingers crossed. So
lady fingers crossed.
Maybe
like the food, lady fingers.
Oh. I like that.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So good list, Matt. I give it a 98%.
Oh.
Yeah.
What would have made it an additional 2%?
Mirror's Team.
Knew it.
I knew that.
Or if you said Mirror was your favorite character. But I can't fault you for Albert. Albert is key. Steve, you get a 13%.
That's okay. I'll take that.
You're like, that's a personal best.
I was gonna say he usually hovers around 10. So
I'll take it.
Good job. Because you look up to Stardust.
Yeah.
You took Brian's place. You got the extra. So, if you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to click subscribe. We're on iTunes and Shout Engine. Look us up on Facebook, Twitter at Cast Revive. Shoot us an email at castrevive@gmail.com. Look us up on geekstreetstation.com. You can find all of our information under one hub now. We're For Geek's Sake and the Thirsty Gamers. We have all of your geek needs for Central Florida located under one banner there. So geekstreetstation.com. Show us some love. And Matt.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
I appreciate you inviting me.
Be sure to follow him on Facebook. It's Tiny Bronco Cosplay. He's got a lot of really
three
cool
words, not combined words.
Okay. Are you on Twitter?
I have one. I haven't. I'm not. I'm still new. I know Twitter's been around for 30 million years, but I'm still new to it. So I'm there. I'm there.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and put the links for all his stuff in the description as well. So, Steve, anything you want to say before we cheese and rice it out of here?
No, I'm gonna go play Legend of Dragoon.
You better.
Can we watch?
You can.
All right. Cool.
Shirts off. I like it. So we're gonna exit with the ending theme. I think it's fitting.
Appropriate. Yeah.
So it's a very good track. So again, thank you guys very much for being here, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Thank you.